Hello everybody, Strategic Operative here. Today I want to be talking about my personal favorite card in Star Wars Armada as of now. And it's funny, is my favorite card actually, technically, I've never played before. I've had to print it out and I've played with it, but I technically do not own the actual FFG card. And I'm referring to a card in the Rebellion in the Rim expansion that I was not able to get an early release at Gen Con because I was not there this year. I had some other things come up. I was not able to make it. So I was a little bit bummed about that. But I have been playing just with some battle reports at home and different things like that. Just this card. And I love this card. The way I play and the upgrades that it melds so well with makes this card really killer. And when I first saw Rebellion in the Rim, and when FFG was doing their live stream of not necessarily unboxing it, but showing a lot of cards, I was like, man, this whole expansion is just to rip into this Superstar Destroyer. And it is. If you look at the squadrons, some of the some of the upgrades, it's really made to really counter the SSD quite well. And then they got to this card, and I lost my mind because it just set everything on an even playing field again. And I am referring to Linked Turbolaser Towers. Linked Turbolaser Towers states you may reroll one red die in your attack pool. While attacking the first squadron during your activation, you may add 2 die of any color to your attack pool. If you do not declare additional, you can't. If you do, you cannot declare additional squadron targets for this attack. This card on its own is really strong against squadrons and ships, and in fact, both of these things on this card can actually use against squadrons. You can perform both of these actions on the same attack. You can reroll 1 die of the 2 dice that you put in to your squadron pool if you put a red die in. This is really strong, and this links, no pun intended, quite well to a lot of other upgrades, and actually it's sort of the glue to something that I've been missing. And one thing that I've stated over and over is that we needed a card that was really strong against squadrons, but also at the same time, didn't take away from, what Armada is supposed to be, ship-to-ship combat. And this card is amazing. So I want to talk about some things that the Linked Turbo Laser Towers really links well with. First thing I want to talk about is quad turbo laser cannons. While attacking, if at least 1 red die face has an accuracy icon, add 1 red die set to an accuracy icon in your attack pool. Well, now you're fishing, you have an extra choice if you're going up against squadrons or going up against ships to reroll an extra red dice, fishing for an accuracy. If you do, you gain an accuracy with quad turbo laser cannons. That's amazing right there. Now, you want to talk about, enhancing more red dice. Well, let's go to Director Krennic. Director Krennic's ability is awesome. We're talking about if you have a Concentrate Fire dial, if you spend it, you get to reroll any red die in your attack pool. If you spend a command token, you can reroll 2 red die in your attack pool. The SSD can perform both of these actions, giving it a complete reroll of red dice, almost using a Vader. Then it can reroll 2 red dice on top of that. Then if it has Linked Turbo Laser Towers, can reroll 1 additional dice out of that. You're going to be really fishing for these double hits and these accuracies like crazy. If we're talking about Director Krennic and we're talking about Linked Turbo Laser Towers and Quad Turbo Laser Cannons, I think a must is the Ravager title. We have to talk about that, especially if we're if we're looking at this through an SSD, if we're building an SSD with this in mind, with the Turbo Laser Towers. The Ravager title, anytime you spend a command dial, you actually get to add a red die to your attack pool. When you have when you add the token, you get to add an extra red die to the attack pool. This just makes your tokens so much more effective. And it plays off of Director Krennic quite well. And now you have all these red die in your attack pool, and you're really fishing to do some damage here. Now this is just ship-wise. When you flip it to squadrons, we have Linked Turbo Laser Towers that melds well with both ship-to-ship combat, and it performs so well against it works so well against squadrons. If we were to put Linked Turbo Laser Towers with quad laser turrets, One of them is offensive, one of them is defensive. It's giving you an all-around cover against squadrons, so you can focus all of your efforts on the biggest, baddest squadrons that are closest to you, and then the additional squadrons are just going to get hit with quad laser turrets if they attack. Of course, with quad laser turrets, you can put point defense reroutes just to reroll those crits at close range. Also, Link Turbo Laser Towers works well with Agent Callus. If you're at long range with an SSD and you have your one red die at long range, if it's a hero or if it's a unique squadron, I should say, you get to add an extra red die with I want to say Director Krennic, but it's not Director Krennic. It's Agent Callus's ability. So you're adding an extra red die to the attack pool. You can add a black die, but for this instance, I want to use a red die. Then you play your command, and your command is actually a concentrate fire dial. Of course, you get a command token of a concentrate fire with that. That's adding 2 additional red dice to your already 2 red dice, so that's 4 red dice. Now you want to trigger Link Turbo Laser Towers, you're adding 2 more red dice into the fray. Let's say you fish for an accuracy with Director Krennic, Link Turbo Laser Towers, you're looking at possibly 7 red dice against a unique squadron. That is amazing. That is deadly. And that's scary to think about, of how effective Link Turbo Laser Towers is. And, of course, I forgot to mention, the Link Turbo Laser Towers, you're getting that extra reroll built into the die if you're throwing red dice out there. This is very nasty, and it really just helps the little niche of, yes, it's not a full-blown, it is a full-blown anti-squadron armament, so to say, but it's deadly in and of itself, and it melds so well with what else you can equip on these larger ships, like an SSD. An ISD could take this and be just fine. It fits the role for an ISD because ISDs, we all know, are really bad at flakking. Even if you put this on a Simon, there you go. There's 4 black dice if you wanted to flak with. This is just nasty. And let's say you want to throw gunnery. This melds well with gunnery teams. I know that you can't act because once you activate the first squadron you engage, that's the one you have to trigger the Link Turbo Laser Towers with. But if you still have other squadrons in that zone, you can flak again and hit all the other squadrons with your normal armament for flakking. So, gunnery team does work to a degree with this. This this upgrade is honestly like my favorite right now. I love playing it, and it's just so effective because it's good against squadron. It's really good against squadron in case you go up against a squadron build, and with an SSD, if you're decking it out against ships, chances are it's not going to do too well against squadrons, so you want to build in some failsafes. And this is a wonderful failsafe that I've been wanting to see in the game for a very long time. And it's not just a full waste if I go up against a build that doesn't have squadrons, because I get an extra reroll of a red dice. I can always take extra rerolls with red dice. You can never have too many rerolls with red dice because of just fishing for that double hit. Director Krennic is amazing, but sometimes he doesn't get it all. And I just love having that extra failsafe in there to just get an extra reroll in. And just thinking about possibly, if I don't run Agent Callus that much, but if I ran Agent Callus, up to 7 red dice against a unique squadron, I'm thinking about going up against, like the new Landar Calrissian Millennium Falcon, or some other, dangerous things that really can oppose an SSD and do damage, especially raid tokens. Oh my goodness, I would be focusing fire on those Mandalorian ships real quickly. Or squadrons, I should say. They're not ships. But that is my favorite upgrade as of now for Star Wars Armada, and I just wanted to talk a little bit and expand a little on it, why I love this upgrade so much, and just how it links so well with so many other upgrades, and to think about that all these upgrades can actually be put together on such a platform, like the Super Star Destroyer. This is why I love the Super Star Destroyer, because you can play with these, ginormous builds and how everything flows together and links together. You can really just make an awesome fleet. But let me know what you guys think of this? And also, what is your favorite upgrade currently in the game up to, or you can even go through Rebellion in the Room, because I'm really curious to see what other people, what their favorite upgrade is, excluding titles, of course, and officer slots and commanders. When you're just looking at pure upgrades alone, I want to hear what you guys have and what your favorite go-tos are when you're talking about upgrade cards. And thank you all for watching. Quick reminder, I just want to remind you all that the 22nd of this month, we do have a local tournament for Star Wars Armada at Cool Stuff Games in Waterford Lakes. Love to see you all out there.